Hello Flosstube! Welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Creative Claire and today is October the 31st, Halloween. Ooh. I don't have like a witch's hat to wear or anything to celebrate the day. I have got sequins in this jumper. McKenna would be proud. You probably can't see them. Sparkle. Because it is cold. Winter has finally hit here in Croydon and it is so cold today. So the heating's been on, jumpers are on, autumn has gone, unfortunately. So what have I been up to in the last couple of weeks? We had half term, so not much stitching was done while the children were home from school. And then this weekend just gone, there has been the most fantastic stitching retreat in Milton Keynes that I was at. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. Right. After my last Flosstube, there were a number of questions on in the comments, so I'm going to start today with some Q&A. Anne asked me a couple of questions. Where did I get sardine from? Now, I think that you might have meant pilchard, which is very similar kind of fish, because this here is pilchard from Bob the Builder. And I don't know where he actually came from. He was from a random shop in a Welsh village. I used to work in a secondary school in the estates of Cardiff, and we took a whole load of year 8s away for a weekend away type thing, and I'd been working with them all year, and as I was leaving they clubbed together, these lovely year 8 kids, to buy me pilchard, because we often used to sing Bob the Builder and I always used to say that pilchard was my favourite. So that was 20 years ago now. So pilchard is quite old, and he's my special cat. I have another special cat curled up down here, big load of fur. So he might make an appearance at some point. Okay, and Anne also wanted to know what blending filament I use. I use Krynic. I've got some here. Excuse me as I bend. I think I have some here. Oh, that's the braid. Here we are. Now, I use blending filament quite a lot because I like to add a bit of bling to my project. So all my Teresa Wentzler dragons and things like that, I stick in a bit of blending filament even when the pattern doesn't ask for it. And this is the stuff I use. And it's just Krynic. It's ever so thin. So I usually do 2 strands of DMC or whatever else and just add this in with them. And it gets it a kind of a subtle shimmery look, whereas if you want a more in-your-face sparkle, do it over the top of your stitches. But it comes in lots of different colours, so I've got pink and blue, and I've got a bright green that I'm using for my Emerald City whip. So Krynic, I love Krynic. I don't know how some people have issues with Krynic because I think it's fabulous stuff. Okay, Bendy Stitchy Michelle, you were at a retreat as well in Massachusetts. Hope it went well. You wanted to know what the brown thread is called that I am using for Brouhaha. Brouhaha is here. So the brown thread was this one here that the cups are in, and it's going between brown and red. And that one is a Steph Francis thread. Steph as in S-T-E-F, Francis F-R-A-N-C-I-S. You can Google her. She's got an online shop. She does lots of silk dyeing, kind of textiles dyeing. She has some absolutely stunning pieces. So she's not like a major brand. She's kind of an independent dyer, but really beautiful. So worth looking up. Steph Francis. And you also wanted to know Michelle, what is Adele's ATC and card Facebook group? Which I shall talk about shortly again. And it is called, if you look up on Facebook, search for Cross Stitch Card and ATC Sal. It's a closed group, so you have to ask to join. But I'm sure Adele will let you in. So there's that one. Stitching Joanne, lovely to meet you at the weekend. And you gave me a fabulous granny square tip. You know how my baby blankets were all a bit skew-if in the middle? Joanne is a genius, because I normally finish my squares about this big and I never have a problem. The problem only comes when they are really, really big granny squares. And she said at the end of each round, just flip my square and then go back in the opposite way instead of continually going around in the same direction, and that will even out the pulling on the fibres. So thank you, Joanne. I'm going to try that because I've got another couple of baby blankets to do. Lots of babies due this year. So thank you. And Tina, Simply in Stitches, and Tony wanted details of the charity that I send my crocheted squares to. And it's called Knit a Square. And if you Google Knit a Square, and they have a Facebook page as well, I believe, you will find all of their details. And basically I post off a whole bunch of squares off to South Africa whenever I get 40 odd squares. Doesn't have to be 40, I just wait till I've got 40. And they employ ladies who otherwise may not be employed to crochet them or sew them together into blankets, and then they give the blankets out to street children who live in slums. They take them into schools and orphanages and things like that, which I think is a fabulous charity. So if you want to support them, check out Knit a Square. Great way of using it for your leftover bits of wool from all your projects and stuff like that. So that's that. That was all my Q&A. Apart from all you lot that wanted me to do a whip parade, seems there's quite a few of you want me to do a whip parade. Yes, I'll do a whip parade. I just need to get my head around how that would work and then find everything. Most things are in a big crate underneath the bed, but I've got other bits that are in folders here and there. So I shall gather it all together and you can have a whip parade and Bo can stop bugging me. Okay, so before I went on the retreat, I worked on a couple of things. So I did my dragon, my celestial companions. Honestly, you can spend hours on a Haid and not really have much to show for it. I've discovered, quite a slow stitcher. I just enjoy the process, really. So what I was doing was that bit along there. So not a huge amount of progress, but there we go. Now, because it's the end of the month, this beauty is going to go away for the next month, and in November I'll be stitching on one of my other Haids, and I'm not quite sure which one that's going to be because they're in a kind of a queue, and I'm not quite sure which the next one is in the queue, so I'll show that in my next video. So that's my Celestial Companions. There we go. And you've seen how far I got with Brouhaha, which is for Tracy P's birthday sal. It was Tracy's birthday yesterday, I believe, so happy birthday, Tracy. So, and that was a free chart from Plum Street Samplers. So if you go on their blog, I think it was, you can find him. He is cool. I'm supposed to give him a name, according to Tracy, but he's just Happy Mr. Pumpkin Dude. To me, that's it. Maybe I'm just not very good at naming things. Don't know. And then I finished off my Halloween ATC and sent that off and made up on my ATC Halloween card. So many groups. And sent that off. And I got, when I came back from the retreat, I had my swaps waiting for me. So, for my Adele's Facebook group, the card and ATC group, it was Halloween, and so I got this fabulous card from Jessica, and it's a gorgeous little vampire. I reckon that's a Doreen Jones vampire. Something about him that says, hello, I'm from Doreen Jones. And not only that, but she did this little spider on the inside and a bat up here. So it's all really cool. So you kind of like, oh yeah, it's a lovely card. And then you open it up and there's more. So that was really cool. And Krynick, I believe, there. Treasure braid? I don't know. What did you use, Jessica? And she also sent me a couple of Halloween coloured DMCs. So thank you. It was really, really lovely. And all the way from the States, I think. Yep. I got an ATC from Marissa. Check. Marissa. Thank you, Marissa. And this was from the Instagram ATC group. And it was to Halloween or not to Halloween. So she did me a beautiful Halloween one. I love the colours in that. It's beautifully stitched. Thank you, Marissa. I'll add that into my little display book of ATCs. So, the retreat. If you've never been to a retreat, try and go and get to one if you possibly can. It was wonderful just to be in the same room all weekend with a whole load of other people who get it, who understand the way that you feel about stitching, who get excited with you, who commiserate with you when you have to you know, pull out a whole load of thread, which I'll also tell you about in a second. It was just brilliant. We had so much fun, and it really felt walking into the place as though I was already with friends, even though I'd never actually met anybody in the room before. I'd watched some Flosstube videos, we'd been chatting on Messenger, and it just immediately felt so relaxed and at ease. Obviously, me getting there, however, wasn't quite so easy. It should have been fine, a straight train from East Croydon up to Milton Keynes. No problems, get off at midday, get a taxi to the hotel, Bob's your uncle. But there was an incident, shall we say, on the train line in between on the last bit, just before you come into Milton Keynes. So I was about 15-20 minutes away from Milton Keynes when they stopped the train at Cheddington. And then kicked everybody off the train and said, we'll let you know what's happening, another train will be along shortly. I googled what was happening, and apparently the line would be closed until at least 2 o'clock, if not longer. And this was 11:45. I was supposed to be there at 12. So that was a little bit upsetting. And Cheddington appears to be a station, a small station, in the middle of a field with cows. Lots of fields with cows. Nothing else. There was no kind of buses that I could see. There was no toilet in the station. There was no vending machine. I had my packed lunch, so that was all right. But there were lots of people around me looking panicky. And then another train pulled up, and all their people were kicked out. And so we were all milling around in the car park, and I was frantically messaging everybody in the stitching retreat on our chat, going, oh, I'm stuck. I don't know what's going on. And bless her, Isla from Buckle Stitch, who is a wonderful person, said, well, let me check where you are. And she jumped in her car and dragged Bo with her, Bo Ribbon, who doesn't make Flosstube videos but should. She comments on them a lot. They jumped in the car and drove half an hour to Cheddington, wondering if they were going to the right place because it didn't look as though anything should be there. Found me, picked me up, and took me back to the hotel. So they drove for an hour out of their way at the beginning of the retreat, and they really didn't need to have done that. They lost an hour's stitching time, and yeah, I am so grateful because I don't know what time I would have got there. I know Gem Stitch also got caught up in all the train cancellation issues, and she was wondering whether she would make it to the retreat at all, but she did. and she got there a little bit later. So yeah, that was an adventure. But thank you for coming to get me. And if you want to see any kind of vlogging and stuff from the retreat, I meant to do some, but I just couldn't be bothered. I was too busy having fun. But Tina from Simply in Stitches did a live stream while we were there, and I was on that, and lots of other people were as well. We interviewed lots of stitchers that were there and looked at their whips and some of the most incredible Mirabilia finishes that I have ever seen. So if you look on Simply in Stitches Flosstube channel and just scroll down, and you will find a rather blue looking thumbnail of 4 blue faces, and it's the MK Stitching Retreat 2017. So look at that and you'll get a flavour of what it was like at the retreat. I don't know why we were blue. I think there was something wrong with the colour balance, and so everything that was blue was showing orange and everything that was pinky orange was showing blue. You know, it was just a bit of a mess, but you get the idea. So no more thumbs downs for that one, please. We got some already. Don't thumbs down on the Tina. No. So what did I stitch on at the retreat? Quite a few things. Let's see. Oh, I bought this before I went to the retreat. The Halloween, just cross stitch Halloween collection. All the issues from 2011 through to 2014. Fantastic. It's going through a bit of a Halloween phase, so you'll see that. Excuse me, I need to cough. Too much talking after the retreat. I came back. I had such a terrible sore throat yesterday because we're like this all weekend. We had to make a badge to wear while we were there, a name badge, and this was mine. So I really enjoyed doing that one. That was good. So I wore that all weekend so people could see who I was. Now, so I worked on Brouhaha, which you've already seen. I worked on my Jewel of the Sea Mermaid a little bit. Just did some of these blues here. So still very, very close to being finished. Say very, very close. It's like a few thousand stitches left. You know. This one is Lizzie Kate's Spirit of Christmas. Now I started this just before tea time on Friday. Started part 2. And I got the chimneys done, which is officially part 1 still, but I hadn't done them. And the bottom of this flower pot. That was it. And then someone said, dinner time! So I put it away, and then after dinner we had a new start. So didn't get any more stitching done on it. You think you're going to get lots of stitching done, but actually every time you sit down to stitch, people start talking, or you suddenly realise that there is something exciting that someone's stitching on the other side of the room, so you have to go and have a look, and then someone says, oh, have you seen what they're doing? And so you put stuff down and go along, or people come along and look at what you're doing, and so you end up chatting to them about that. And then someone says, do you want some wine? And have a chocolate, and dinner time. And before you know it, you've not really managed to get much progress at all, but it's well worth it. So my new start after dinner on Friday, quite a few of us did a new start, was from the Halloween collection. And I chatted with Sarah Shears, who is Sarah Stitches from Canada, and said, let's do this together. She's a Brooks Books, Penelope the Pumpkin Witch. So let's stitch this together. But I know that she hasn't had a chance to start it yet because she's working on another one. But I started it as my new start. And I didn't get very far. Here it is on perforated paper. Because, you see the lighter orange? I messed up. And I misread the symbol because I was chattering away and looking at everything else. Yeah, so I stitched it all in a darker orange first, And it wasn't until I'd finished off the thread, I looked at it and went, that's not right, is it? And then I double checked and I was like, no! So I had to pull out an entire length of thread and then I restitched it in the right colour. And then it went on the naughty step to think about what it's done. And it stayed there. So I'll get her back out again at some point. Not yet. So that's Penelope. And then I pulled out my mermaid because... I say my mermaid, I've got quite a few. My Nora Corbett Moonlight Laguna mermaid. These are not the colours, my printer wasn't playing. Because there was... her companion piece was in this amazing pile of finishes from Ina. And she'd done the Sunlight Laguna. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, the opposite one. So I worked on this most of Saturday. So I worked all the way down. I really wanted to get the shape of her tail in before I put her down. So I started on that. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm not putting her away yet. I'm going to keep her out this week and do some more on her. Because I'm in love. And when a project is calling your name quite so loudly. I mean, she is a siren, you know, siren song and all that. She needs work. Another whip that I worked on the Sunday was Teresa Wentzler's Castles by the Sea. And I did all of the sand in the sand castles. And I tried Isla Bucklestitch's Lowry stand, because I don't have a stand, and she let me borrow it for 10 minutes and clamped this into it, and I did quite a lot of the sand while it was on a Lowry. And now I want a Lowry. So that's that, and it's going to look like that. And I can't wait to get down to the dragon. That's that one. And then the last whip that I worked on was the Silver Creek's Singer Sampler, which I started for Mania and worked on for that day in Mania and never touched again. So I worked on part 1, and when I got home on Sunday and yesterday, I carried on until I finished part 1. So that is part 1 of Singer Sampler. Doe, a deer, a female deer. That's as much as you get until I stitch the rest. And I swapped out the green for... could be guacamole in what weeks I worked. I can't remember. It's supposed to be chamomile in Gentle Arts, but it just looked like dead grass. It was so brown. So I switched it out for that, and I'm really glad I did. So that was all that I worked on. What are we at? Ooh, 23 minutes. Might cut me off. So, haul. The obligatory Milton Keynes Stitching Retreat needle minder from Lisa Simmons. And that cow reminds me of getting stuck at the station in Cheddington because there were lots of cows there. So that's what that will remind me of. And a lovely unicorn needle minder from Fairy Floss, who was there, the lovely Becca. She was sat on my table. And that is going to go in the stocking for my youngest. They were attracted to each other. For Christmas. And then on the Pass the Stash table, there was a Teresa Wentzler that I do not have. And now I do. Peaceable Kingdom. I don't honestly know whether I would ever stitch it. The actual picture. But the border is stunning. And one of my lifetime projects, I have many, is that I would like to do a band sampler consisting entirely of Teresa Wentzler borders. Because they are gorgeous. So, that's for that. Sparklies came on the Saturday and took over the room next door to us with her fabulous fabric and loads of patterns. What can I say? I'm a girl who loves stash and dragons. Lena Lawson Needle Arts. It's supposed to be the letter O, but I reckon if you just stitch it on its own, you wouldn't care that it was a letter. It could just be a circle. And I've seen him stitched up and he is fabulous. So I love him. And then Adele, who is Smurfette Stitches on Instagram, had her finish of this Plum Street Samplers Boris there. And it was gorgeous. And then she sold me the pattern afterwards. Thanks, Adele. And the fabric, I got an offcut with a plan to do one of Firewing Designs, kind of tribal dragon down that one. A blue Ada to do my voluptuous mermaids on. So I have plans for a lot of these. A sparkly 32 count Murano to do one of Nora Corbett's witches on. I think it's Gwen, the one in the green. And then this one, another 32 count even weave to do Town of Halloween on, which is on the CD. And then this one, which is 18 count Ada, because it's so damn pretty, I couldn't possibly leave it there. That's the only one I bought that I don't have a plan for. So that's not bad, I reckon. So that was the haul. So now I've got to be very, very good. I'm going to the Hobbycraft show at the Birmingham NEC this Saturday. I'm meeting my mum and my best friend from home there. I've got to be very, very careful and not spend much at all, because having just bought that, I really have just blown the budget. Right, now, my giveaway last time is this one, Lavender and Lace Michael. So I asked anybody who was interested to just mention the word angel in their comment below, and a number of you did, and I've written all your names in and put them in this lovely bag, which is not my own handbag. This belongs to my 5-year-old daughter, so I have borrowed it for this purpose. So if I pull your name out, let's have a look. It is Ginger Gerald Stitcher, who was also at the Massachusetts get together, I think. Ginger Gerald, well done, congratulations, you have won Michael. Let me have your address, contact me, I'll put my email below, or you can contact me on Facebook or Instagram. I don't know how personal messages on YouTube work, so either tell me or just ignore that and contact me in other ways. Okay, so he is yours. And this week's giveaway is Teresa Wentzler's Unicorn, which I put on the Past the Stash table and nobody wanted. And I saw Sally, who was there. She has a few Teresa Wentzlers on the go, and she has a whip of this, and it's not, she hasn't done it on black. It's on a different colour fabric, but it looks stunning, absolutely beautiful. I've never stitched this. I have it, and I plan to at some point, but all the leaves just put me off a little bit, to be honest. But her whip of it was stunning. So if you want this, just mention the word unicorn in a comment below, and I will pull out a name in my next video, and you can have it. Open to anywhere in the world. If you want to stitch Teresa Wentzler's Unicorn, just mention unicorn in the comment. Okay? And that's it. So, yep. I loved meeting so many people at the weekend, and my name is down for next year, and I'm on the waiting list for the retreat in April in the same place. If you are in the UK or want to travel to the UK and want to check out some of these retreats, I suggest you join the Facebook group. It's, oh no, I can't even remember what it's called. Mad Stitchers UK. Search that, it'll come up. Mad Stitchers UK Retreats and Supply or something like that. You'll find us if you look. And then you can get your name down. That'll be fine. Okay, so that's it. That's me for this week. Have a really, really lovely week, everybody. Get lots of stitching done. Don't get too scared tonight. And I'll see you next time. Bye.